Hello my loves, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, it's time to do a reading vlog. I feel like I haven't done one in a very long time. So I just picked out my January TBR and I realized there's a lot of sequels, a lot of continuations in series that I want to read. So we're going to be continuing series today. I have these 3 books picked out, which are all sequels to books that I have read and enjoyed. So first of all, I have Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. This is the second book to Beartown. Really excited to read this because I loved Beartown. It made my top 3 of the year in 2025. I wonder if it's following the same characters. Okay, so it's still following the hockey team and it says they have a big game approaching with Head, who is their rival team. Pranks become incidents, rivalries turn to vendettas. By the game's end, someone from Beartown will be dead. Next I have A War of Wyverns, which is the second book to A Language of Dragons. This just came out at the beginning of January. I really enjoyed the first one. I think I gave it like 4 stars. It is a perfect YA political fantasy. I do feel like it is a little bit young. The storyline and the characters, of course it is YA. It did feel a little bit young for me, but I was still invested in the dragons and the political aspect of it. And last but not least, I have The God and the Gwynsing, which is the second book to The God and the Gumaho, which I read either 2024 2025. I can't really remember, but I remember I enjoyed the story. This is probably like the only urban fantasy that I enjoyed. She works at, I think there was a girl called Hanny, and I mean I read this like a year ago, so it's very hazy in my memory, but I remember there was a girl called Hanny and she worked in a coffee shop, but she was also vigilante, or like she did something, she was committing some type of crime anyway, and he was trying to find the person that was the Gumaho, and he just ends up falling in love with her over time, but he doesn't know that she's the Gumaho. And then something happens at the end of book 1 that, yeah, will be continued in this series. I'm trying not to spoil anything. Everything is sequel, so it's very hard for me to say a lot without spoiling, but their romance was left very much on like a cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to see where their story is gonna go. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I'm going to read in this video. I'm not sure what I'm gonna start with, so I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna start with. We'll just check in and see what I've decided to pick up, because I'm actually currently reading Duskbound by Greenwich and Lennox, which is the second book to Riftborn, so I am currently reading a sequel. I have like 50 pages left of that to read tonight, and then I will pick up one of these books. I'm leaning more towards A War of Wyvern because I do need to read that very soon before I go to the event. But yeah, kick back, get a drink, get a snack. We are going to read these books. I will check in with you guys when I've decided what I'm actually going to read first. 60% through, so just over halfway, and I feel the same way about this book the way I felt about the first one. I feel like it's a well-written political dragon fantasy with a rebellion and the government. I just feel like it is really young. The characters feel really young. They are teenagers at the end of the day. It is YA. I feel like this series would be perfect for like 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, you know, but me at my big age, it just is glaringly YA. It's not that I'm not enjoying the story, I just feel like it's really not written for me. I can still enjoy it. I'm still enjoying the talking dragons and the whole political aspect and the discussions on language and translation, which I felt was very similar to like Babel discussions on translation, but it's more accessible at a YA age level, which is not a bad thing at all. I'm just not the target audience for this series, which is totally fine, but I'm here to recommend it if you do have like a 14, 15, 16-year-old in your family that does enjoy fantasy and politics. It is about the government trying to translate dragon languages, and there's a very special language to dragons that they really don't want humans to know. There's like a rebellion that's trying to stop the government from treating dragons like second-class citizens. In this book we are introduced to a group of wyverns, of course, because they are different to dragons. I think they have 2 legs rather than 4, and they have their own language and they have their own, you know, way of communicating, so they're trying to get them to fight for the rebellion so that they can help the dragons. But the wyverns are kind of like, this is not really my fight, like why do I have to be in this? And our main character Viv is basically trying to say to them, once they're done with us and the dragons, they're going to come for you and your people next, so you can't just hide away in the shadows. It's fast paced, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of moving parts, so yeah, nothing bad to say, but once again, I'm just not the target audience for that, which is totally fine, but totally would recommend giving this as a gift to a teenager. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and then I will get back to you with my final thoughts. I don't see my thoughts changing much from this check-in. feel like death. I have woken up with a fever, a sore throat, a blocked nose, the whole shebang. I've definitely caught something, and I thought I was so smug because everyone caught stuff around December and I was like, oh, I didn't catch it, and now it's hit me like a truck. But anyways, I wanted to give you a quick reading update while I still feel semi-decent, because I don't know if it's gonna be downhill from here. So I finished A War of Wyverns yesterday, day before yesterday. Nothing much has changed from my first check-in. I still feel exactly the same. The ending was good. I do feel like it could have been a duology though, and you can tell it was kind of meant to be because it wrapped up pretty well, and then something drastic happened at the very end, like a last page situation. So I googled if there's gonna be a next book in the series, and it said it was meant to be a duology, but then they bought another book from her, so she's making it a trilogy. But I'm pretty happy to leave it there. I feel like I got what I needed from that series. I was going to start Us Against You. It's in my bedroom. I was like ready to sit down and start it yesterday evening, but guess what showed up at my door? My most anticipated romance read of the year, The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. And of course I just had to drop everything and read this. Now this is kind of a second in a series. It's the second book to Say You'll Remember Me, so it's still continuing a series. So I'm on page 208. I'm just over halfway through. I'm enjoying this so much. I have so much to say. So in this story we have Larissa and we have Chris, and they met after a concert one night, but Chris was with his friends Mike, Jesse and Xavier from Say You'll Remember Me. Oh my god, my nose is running. Sorry, this is really gross and I look horrific as well. Larissa needed someone to drive her home. She ends up picking Mike to drop her home, and they kind of start seeing each other from there. I think a couple months go by and Mike calls Chris and says, hey, I'm super hungover, can you drop Larissa and her mum to the hospital because her mum's having surgery? It's like 5:30 in the morning, by the way. Chris is like, what the hell, man, why did you get so drunk if you knew you had to do this today? Anyway, Chris goes and drops her and her mum to hospital, and they keep ending up in situations where they are alone together, and the chemistry, honestly, when they are together, is flying off the page. They're both big readers. He can finish a book in a couple hours, and they are sharing a dog as well. That's a major point in this book. They are sharing a dog that they found, so they're kind of co-parenting this dog together. So they end up messaging and talking quite a bit about the dog. Nothing has crossed the line, but you can tell just from their natural conversations that they're building such a connection, and it's honestly a dream to read. If you've read Abby Jimenez before, you know her banter, you're familiar with her game and how well she can build conversations between characters. It's very much like that in this story. But Chris is just the nicest guy. I feel like he's really made for Larissa. He just knows her and he gets her, and he does things without being asked, and like it's just a natural thought for him to want to help her. Loving him as a character, loving her as a character as well. She's a hustler. She is doing her best to make ends meet. I think that's all I'm gonna say on the books. I don't want to spoil anything, but this is everything I wanted Abby Jimenez's new book to be. I would say it's not as heavy as the last book. Say You'll Remember Me was quite heavy. It just sat on your chest while you were reading it, whereas this one, not as heavy, but it still has issues, but it still has romance, and I feel like it's still making me giggle and smile and laugh. Yeah, I'm gonna spend my sick day, my ears are blocked. Yeah, I'm gonna spend my hopefully just a sick day reading this. Luckily it's Sunday, so I don't have any work or anything to do today, so I'm just gonna kick back, finish this up today, and then I will pick up Us Against You. Okay guys, I have healed from my flu. I honestly feel like it was COVID because I lost my taste for a little while there, but I'm better. That was honestly the worst fever I've had. It was like sweaty, chills, shaking, and you know when your body's so hot and you touch like a door or like you're touching something and it stings because it's so cold? It was not fun at all, but I am better, thank God. It's been like a week, so of course I have done some reading. I went ahead and finished The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, and I also read Us Against You by Fredrik Backman, so I'm just going to share my thoughts on these two books. I'm not going to read The God and the Gwissing in this video because I just started The Way of Kings yesterday, and that's going to probably take up the rest of my month. So these are the final two books that I read in this reading vlog. So let's share my thoughts. I think I told you what this book was about in my last check-in. I was a little bit delirious with fever, so I don't really remember what I said. Loved this book. I think I'm going to settle on a 4.5 purely because I love this book, but I didn't love it as much as Just for the Summer, which I gave 5 stars. That is like my favorite Abby Jimenez book ever. This one didn't give me the exact same feeling, so I'm just rating it slightly lower, but I still absolutely love this book. It was making me giggle, laugh, kick my feet, like the genuine relationship that Larissa and Chris built was beautiful to watch, like their genuine friendship. I think it's really hard for the author to do this without crossing that cheating line, even if it's not emotional cheating, to allow these two to build a genuine friendship but kind of leaning towards feelings without cheating. It was very well done because they share this dog that they found at the hospital. They're kind of co-parenting the dog, so they message a lot about the dog and they send pictures of the dog, and like they obviously see each other with the dog and they're kind of like co-parenting this dog. So it allowed them to communicate and talk quite a bit and build this, you know, relationship. It didn't feel like emotional cheating either because she was still very much here for her boyfriend and she was definitely trying to work. Sorry, I actually need to leave. My taxi's outside, so let's speed this up. But the boyfriend that she has in here, he's not a bad guy. He's just someone that needs to get his together, do you know what I mean? So it was easy to root for Chris because the other guy was kind of fumbling the bag, like he was flaky. All I'm gonna say is it was done respectfully in my opinion, and I really love this book and I definitely would reread. I love the vibes in here with the classic Abby Jimenez banter between the two characters, and also I felt like the characters are different to any that she's written before. Larissa is kind of struggling, she's got multiple hustles, side hustles, and then we have Chris, who is a pharmacist, and he is very solid. He's a very solid man. He's definitely the ultimate acts of service guy, and if you read any Abby Jimenez books before, you know she can write the perfect acts of service guy. And the final book that I read was Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. Now this one I was a little bit disappointed. I ended up giving it 3 stars. This genuinely felt like Beartown rehashed. This felt like a recap of book 1, and I didn't understand why it was all being rehashed again, because of course towards the beginning of the book you're like, okay, re-establish the characters and maybe just rehash what happened in book 1 a little bit. But I got halfway through and I was like, nothing new has been shared with me. Like this is very much giving the end of Beartown. I'm familiar with what the characters are thinking or feeling. Why are we going all over this again, and what is the new plot exactly? Especially because on the back of the book it says by the game's end someone from Beartown will be dead. When I tell you I was 70% through this book and no one was dead, and I was not understanding what are we doing here, like ooh, sorry guys, that sounded nasty. I just found myself really bored reading this book because nothing was happening, nothing new was happening. It was very much like a rehash of Beartown, and I was like, I thought we were going into this story for a new storyline, but it still followed the same characters. It still mentioned the same thing that happened in book 1. I love the writing, and I always will love this writing because I loved Beartown, of course, and I love the way that these characters, I do love these characters, and I do love the way that they are written and their thought processes and like how much hockey means to them, how much their town means to them. But anyways guys, I really need to run because my taxi is waiting outside. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that I got sick halfway through and wasn't able to like read these books on camera with you, but I hope it's still enjoyable anyway. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've read Us Against You and if you felt the same way as me. I did see a comment from someone the other day saying they kind of recommend Beartown as a standalone because this is just a rehash of book 1 and then book 3 is just a rehash of book 1 and 2, and I'm like, I don't want that. I wanted a brand new story set in the same town. And also let me know if you're going to read The Night We Met. Honestly, I would recommend it. It was so much fun and it's such a different storyline. Of course, boyfriend's best friend, it's a very weird trope, but I feel like it was done respectfully. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up, make sure you are subscribed, and I'll catch you in my next one. Take care. Bye.